guys, Jackie Mumford, the real estate maven, and I'm out doing errands and just had a couple thoughts in the car that I wanted to share with you guys, and especially for my sellers who are looking at potentially putting their house on the market and getting it sold. Prep, you can never over prep a house, so prep is super important. Studying the market is super important, but nothing's going to surprise you more than three of the things I'm going to share with you that catch sellers out of sorts, and is usually going to happen at the very last moment. Actually, it's going to be four things I want to share with you. So when you are selling a house, you know that you got to clean out the closets, prep, mow the grass, paint, touch up, fix squeaks, WD-40 stuff, change the light bulbs so they're all the same color, fix broken things around the house, do the yard work, clean the gutters, service HVAC systems, make sure those are clean those vents, clean all the little dust bunnies that you see hanging around, start changing out your bed linens, things like that, so everything looks crisp day one when the agent comes with the photographer and on day one of your open house or showings or whatnot. So you already kind of know about that kind of stuff. You guys, you can see a ton of videos online about home prep, so I'm not going to bore you with that type of stuff. But what I will want to point out is these four things. If you don't have a termite bond on your house and haven't had a termite bond in years, go ahead and hire a pest control company to come out and do an inspection on your house for termites and wood destroying organisms. The reason why that's important is because if you have lived in your house for 10 years and say you had your house treated maybe 5 years ago, there is an uptick of termites here in Georgia, and it's catching a lot of people off guard. Sold a house earlier this year. There was a termite tunnel literally growing up toward the front door from the front porch. So yeah, the house can have termites at any time, and just because you have it under bond does not mean that your house won't get termites. It's a great possibility. It's in Georgia, we have a saying, it's not if you get termites, it's when you get termites. So that's something you want to be proactive about. Get those termite inspections done, and if you are under bond, go ahead and have them come out. If they haven't done an annual inspection, go ahead and have them come out anyway and give you a clearance letter, because that's really important. If you're selling a house for FHA or VA, actually if you're selling a house period, a house has an active infestation, your buyer is going to actually have you treat it. But if it's a VA loan, you cannot close on that property if your buyer is using VA financing with an active infestation of termites. And if the FHA, on the FHA product loan, the home inspector is going to do what's called a head and shoulder inspection, where they're going to look in your crawl space and they're going to look in your attic, and if they see anything weird going on, like in your crawl space or basement, that you have active termites, they're going to flag that as well. All right, next thing is going to be to check if you're in an HOA, go and look at your last 3 years of meeting minutes, because sometimes people will miss assessments charges on their HOA. Like they might see it in passing and they're like, oh, okay, I'll get to it later. Those stick to those properties and those have to be cleared. It's part of a title clearance process, so you're going to have to pay that at closing, but I do find that oftentimes it catches the homeowners by surprise. Also too, they oftentimes are not aware that they're going to have to pay what I call an exit fee, which is what's called a closing letter fee. I've seen one that I closed recently was an $800 fee for a fee simple single family home in a PUD, Planned Urban Development HOA, and it was a self-managed HOA, meaning that they did not outsource it to like community management or allied management or whatever, like the homeowners themselves managed. But they charged the homeowner on a rush fee, I think it was close to $899, like $900 for a closing letter, which caused the seller to kind of like, why are they charging this much? It's ridiculous. It's just paying for the privilege of them telling me that I don't owe them anything, which is literally what that is. But in the HOA guidelines, which is why I tell people, read your last 3 year minutes for assessments and read your covenants again on your bylaws if they've been updated, so you know how much you're going to have to pay for this stuff, or send out a query to your home management company and find out how much the closing letter is going to be, because it's your responsibility for the closing letter. Also too, you want to find out with the HOA if you have an initiation fee that your buyer who's buying your house will have to pay. I have one for sale where the HOA initiation fee is about $4,300 or $4,500, and so that's kind of a whammy to buyers coming in and buying in that community. And if you, as a seller in Georgia, if you do not disclose up front before binding agreement that the buyer has to, in writing, that the buyer has to pay an initiation fee, guess who gets to pay for that initiation fee at closing? It's going to be the seller. Whatever number that your agent asks you for, like, hey, what is your closing letter fee? And you're like, oh, well, what's your initiation fee? Oh, you think about back to when you bought it, and you go back and look at your paperwork, and then you'll see, oh, it was like $450 for the initiation. Well, things have changed, especially for condos or townhomes. And if that sucker's gone up $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000, which is the highest I've ever saw for initiation fee, then if you don't disclose it to the buyer and negotiate that in the contract that the buyer is going to agree to pay that, then you as a seller's got to pay that at closing. And then lastly, just go ahead and make sure you get a homeowner's title, or go ahead and get a title search. You can contact any real estate attorney in your county, or really anywhere in the state, but in your county, and ask them to go ahead and pull your title. It's going to cost you anywhere from $150 to $250, sometimes $300 for a rush fee. Get the title done early, especially if you live in an HOA, especially if maybe have gone through a divorce or had a lawsuit or hadn't paid a credit card in the past, filed bankruptcy, whatever it might be. Get your seller's property title search done by an attorney. They usually take about 3 days to come back, and on there it's going to show if you've got any liens against the property. It's also going to share if you had any judgments or anything against you that have to be cleared, IRS tax liens, child support liens. If you have a divorce decree out there, they're going to check that too to make sure you don't owe anything, because essentially a divorce decree is a judgment. All that's got to be cleared before closing, and you'd be surprised how many people don't realize that they have old credit cards that attach to their house, and they might have gotten a letter, and then if they're in the flux of their life and things are going on and you're getting these letters and you're not in the right headspace, it might be something that you miss. Or maybe your spouse had something that came in and they're trying to hide it from you and didn't tell you guys, had $10,000 worth of credit card lien because it was on their credit, but they got a judgment, didn't go to court, got a judgment and a lien against the house. Well, the husband may not know about it, or the wife may not know about it, but it's going to show up on that HUD statement, and that is not the time to find out about it. So you want to get that cleared, and it gives you a chance before the house is even on the market to get that stuff taken care of. So pull your own property title, go through an attorney, a real estate attorney specifically, so they can pull title for you, so you know what you might need to clear. And if you spend the $300 and you don't have anything on there, more power to you. You can still use that particular attorney, which they typically will want you to use that attorney to go ahead and close on the house. Granted, that's negotiated in contracts. You want to go ahead and get your HOA information, your closing letter cost up front before you put the house on the market. You want to find out what the initiation fee is for your buyer up front, so that goes into your disclosure information that your agent will help you fill out. You also want to make sure you don't have any assessments on the property that have occurred that you just may have forgotten about, because they will pop up, rear their ugly head. And then also go ahead and get your house either a termite bond or get it treated, or get a termite closing letter to show clearance. Also, too, with that termite clearance letter is not just about if you have termites or wood boring infestation. You also want to make sure you don't have earth to wood contact, because on a VA and FHA house or financing for your house, that could stop your sale having earth to wood contact. That means that you have siding of your house made out of wood is in contact with the dirt. If you have your deck and you didn't use pressure treated wood and it has contact with the dirt, anything like that, they're going to want it cleared. So and those are going to be you can look up all the other VA and FHA guidelines. There are about 1,000-page booklets that are online, but if you do FHA guidelines 2026, it'll pop up on the FHA website, and the same thing for the VA lending requirements for housing 2026. It'll give you the latest update, which is some nice bedtime reading if you have a hard time sleeping. So those are the tips that I wanted to share with you today. You guys can also, again, look up all the other ones, clean your house, service the house, all the other stuff that all the other realtors talk about all the time about home prep. Those 4 things I talk about are deal killers in the end, or they are the shock and awe that some sellers are not anticipating, because a lot of people feel that they don't have anything going on because they're just not aware of it. No one's going to tell them they have anything going on, and then oftentimes they get caught in the end, and and have to shell out thousands of dollars to close. And at that point, they have a legal obligation per that contract to clear that title, and for the buyer to get title insurance so they can go ahead and sell their house. So that's going to be the same thing with like investors and anybody that buys your house. They're going to have to clear those titles before they can get issued title insurance. And it'll be a hard sell to get an investor to buy your house or a homeowner to buy your house and not get title insurance on it, because they want to protect their investment and they don't want to deal with your old liens. One of the ones I sold a couple weeks ago, there was 2 IRS tax liens against the property from the previous owner, and our owner still had to like prove like, hey, it's not me, this is not my tax debt, this is the previous owner. And what we found is that the previous attorney did not clear that debt, didn't like make sure that that stuff was cleared, or that previous owner also didn't make sure that the liens were paid in full. So at the time when the property was closed, because it was 2 IRS liens against that house. So those things happen. We didn't know about it until the week of closing. So what would have prevented that from happening is if we had a title search before we listed the property. But most people aren't expecting things. Sometimes they do know, like, hey, I got a car lien, I owe like $3,000 on a repo, and he took me to court and I lost, and they put a lien against me. A lot of times they know, but sometimes people don't know. And so you want to give yourself some breathing room on the equity position you're trying to have when you go sell your house, in the anticipation of what you're going to make off the property. So don't cut yourself short. Find out what you got going on and give yourself a chance to negotiate it and clear it before you go to market. So that's all I got for you. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.